Hello, and welcome to Relaxing Facts. I'm Chad Kay, and today I will be talking about the history of the English language. Each week, I share interesting stories and little-known facts on a variety of topics, accompanied by gentle, soothing music. My goal is to help you find a sense of calm during your busy day. Feel free to settle into a cozy spot and let yourself be carried away by these relaxing facts. To understand English, we have to go back to Britain before English existed. Before the year 400 AD, the people living in Britain spoke Celtic languages. These were related to modern Welsh, Irish, and Scottish Gaelic. The Romans arrived in the year 43 and ruled Britain for nearly 4 centuries, bringing Latin with them. Latin influenced place names and introduced words related to roads, cities, and government, but it never replaced local speech. When Roman power collapsed around the year 410, Latin faded, and Britain became vulnerable to invasion. That vulnerability changed everything. Beginning in the mid-400s, Germanic tribes from Northern Europe crossed the North Sea. The Angles, Saxons, and Jutes settled across much of Britain, pushing Celtic speakers westward. These settlers spoke closely related Germanic languages, and from their speech came the foundation of English. This early form is known as Old English, and it would be almost completely unintelligible to modern speakers. It sounded more like German or Dutch than what we speak today. Words such as king, which was spelled C-Y-N-I-N-G, and I will not even attempt to pronounce it, and the word house, spelled H-U-S with a long U, these words came from this period. Grammar was complex, with noun cases, grammatical gender, and flexible word order. English at this stage was not one unified language. It existed in regional dialects, shaped by where people settled. Still, it was recognizably English by structure, even if it sounded foreign to modern ears. Catholic missionaries arrived in the late 500s and brought Latin back into Britain, this time through religion. Latin words entered English. For these words, monk, bishop, altar, and school. Writing became more common, and Old English literature emerged, including the epic poem Beowulf. Then came another major disruption. Starting in the late 700s, Viking raiders from Scandinavia attacked and later settled large parts of England. These Norse speakers didn't just raid and leave. They lived among English speakers, traded with them, and intermarried. Because Old Norse and Old English were related languages, people could partially understand each other, which led to deep linguistic blending. This Viking influence permanently reshaped English. Many everyday words come from Old Norse, including the words sky, egg, knife, window, and take. Even some pronouns changed. The words they, them, and their replaced older English forms. Grammar also simplified, as speakers dropped complex endings to communicate more easily across languages. By the early 1000s, English was already changing rapidly, but its biggest transformation was still to come. In the year 1066, William the Conqueror invaded England from Normandy and defeated King Harold at the Battle of Hastings. This event may be the most important single moment in the history of the English language. The Norman rulers spoke French, not English. For centuries after the conquest, England became a bilingual society divided by class. The ruling elite used French for law, government, and culture. Latin remained the language of the church and scholarship, English was the language of the common people. This created a massive flood of French vocabulary into English. Words related to power, justice, and refinement came from French. The words government, court, judge, prison, and parliament all entered the language this way. Even food vocabulary was split along class lines. The animals tended by English-speaking peasants were called cow, pig, and sheep, while the meat that was eaten by French-speaking nobles became beef, pork, and mutton. Over time, English absorbed these French words instead of being replaced by them. By the late Middle Ages, English re-emerged as the dominant spoken language, but it was no longer Old English. It had become Middle English. Middle English had simpler grammar and a much larger vocabulary. Word order became more fixed, noun cases mostly disappeared, and the language became more flexible and expressive. This was the English of Geoffrey Chaucer, whose Canterbury Tales show a language that feels familiar yet strange. Pronunciation during this period was very different from today, but English was becoming more standardized as literacy increased. Then came another revolution, one that reshaped how English sounded forever. Between roughly 1400 and 1700, English underwent what linguists call the Great Vowel Shift. And this is what I really like talking about. The Great Vowel Shift was a sweeping, systematic change in how long vowel sounds were pronounced across the language. Long vowels began to move upward in the mouth, and some turned into diphthongs, meaning they shifted between two sounds within a single syllable. For example, the word time once sounded closer to team, and the word house was pronounced more like hoose. The word meat would have sounded more like mate, while the word name sounded closer to nama. Over generations, these vowel sounds kept moving, creating a chain reaction that affected nearly every long vowel in English. The Great Vowel Shift did not happen all at once or everywhere at the same speed. It unfolded gradually over several centuries and varied by region and social class. But its effects were profound. It marked a clear break between Middle English and Modern English pronunciation. This shift also explains one of the most frustrating features of English: its spelling. Many spellings were standardized before pronunciation finished changing, especially after the introduction of printing. As a result, English spelling preserves older sound patterns that no longer exist. The letters stayed the same even as pronunciation drifted away. In other words, English spelling is not chaotic by accident. It's a historical record. And at the same time, a new technology arrived that helped lock English into place. In 1476, William Caxton introduced the printing press to England. Printing made books cheaper and more widely available, which increased literacy. It also pushed English towards standardization. Printers needed consistent spellings and grammar, and they often favored the dialect of London, which was already politically and economically powerful. This period also coincided with the Renaissance, when scholars looked back to ancient Greece and Rome. Thousands of Latin and Greek words entered English, especially in science, medicine, philosophy, and the arts. Words such as temperature, anatomy, democracy, and imagination came into use. By the late 1500s and early 1600s, English had reached a form known as Early Modern English, and this was the language of William Shakespeare. Shakespeare did not invent English, but he stretched it in extraordinary ways. He played with grammar, invented new words, and popularized expressions that are still in use today. Words such as lonely, swagger, bedroom, and countless phrases such as these: to break the ice and wild goose chase. These come from his works. During this time, English grammar was still flexible. You could turn nouns into verbs, change word order for emphasis, and experiment freely. This creativity helped English become one of the most expressive languages in the world. In 1611, the King James Bible was published, providing another stabilizing force. Its poetic language shaped English rhythm, idioms, and style for centuries. Even today, phrases like the writing on the wall and the salt of the earth trace back to this translation. As English settled at home, it began spreading abroad. The expansion of the British Empire from the 1600s onward carried English to North America, Africa, India, Australia, and beyond. As English encountered new cultures and languages, it absorbed words from around the world. From India came words such as jungle, shampoo, and bungalow. From Africa came the words banana and voodoo. And from the Caribbean came the words hurricane and barbecue. In North America, English developed along its own path. American English preserved some of older British features while innovating new ones. Noah Webster, in the early 1800s, pushed for simplified spellings such as color, C-O-L-O-R, instead of C-O-L-O-U-R, and other spellings such as center, so instead of C-E-N-T-R-E, it would be spelled C-E-N-T-E-R. Webster's dictionaries helped standardize American English and distinguish it from British norms. During the Industrial Revolution, English expanded rapidly again. New inventions demanded new vocabulary. Words such as engine, factory, electricity, and telephone entered everyday speech. Science and technology became major engines of linguistic growth. In the 20th century, global events accelerated English's spread. The rise of the United States as a political, economic, and cultural power made English dominant in film, music, aviation, science, and international business. Radio, television, and then later the internet pushed English into every corner of the world. Today, English is a global language with hundreds of millions of native speakers and even more second language learners. It exists in countless varieties, and no single authority controls it. Dictionaries describe usage rather than dictate it. Modern English continues to evolve. New words emerge from technology, social media, and pop culture. Grammar shifts subtly as people communicate faster and more informally. Emojis, abbreviations, and internet slang are already influencing how language works. What makes English unique isn't purity or consistency, it's flexibility. English has never resisted change. Instead, it absorbs, adapts, and survives. And it is not a finished product. English is a story that is still being written, shaped by everyone who speaks it. That brings us to the end of this week's talk. If you enjoyed this episode of Relaxing Facts, please consider subscribing or leaving a comment or just clicking like. I hope you have a great day and that you're staying warm. Thanks so much for being here. My name is Chad K, and I will see you next time. Bye.